thank you very much to Linkums to showing off King of Kings the early years. I hope you had some good fun with that. Up next, we have a showcase. We have those as well. Fyzzu will be showing you everything about Defenders of the Faith, in this case, the Adventures of David. So, yeah, I'm just gonna let him know that we are ready to go, and yeah, have fun. It's gonna be a ride for sure. So, yeah, stay tuned.
Okay, we are apparently live. Hello everybody. We are here to give you the most accurate biblical game that you are likely to see today. Defender of the Faith, the story of David. David being made famous primarily by slaying Goliath, but if you've read your Bible, you will probably know a few other facts about him. I'm joined by Tristan, who's going to sit here and give us all sorts of Bible facts, or just randomly say things into the microphone. Say things into the microphone, Tristan.
I am quite literally a witch and probably should not be here. What is going on?
That's exactly why you're here.
Well, good.
Defender of the Faith is not a well-made game. You are going to learn this very, very quickly. There are 6 levels in the game. We are going to be, this is a showcase, so we're going to be skipping through them because some of them are a little bit boring and RNG is going to kill us a lot. But we will be going through them in order, and we will start off with The Shepherd, which is where the game actually appears to be a normal game, if a fairly poorly made one. Far away in the farming town of Bethlehem, a young shepherd boy was tending his father's flock of sheep. The youngest of his family, David was needed to stay at home while his brothers marched off to join King Saul's army. And now we're going to skip that. Okay, what we have to do here is, in something that surprisingly looks like a video game, we have to save sheep. Because, you know, David was a shepherd. And we do this by firstly hitting anything that attacks them. Like these bears, for instance. And secondly, making sure they don't walk off the cliff, because sheep, as you may know, actually share some genetics with lemmings. And they will more than happily march off that cliff to their doom. Bears will also do the same. Animals are really bad at cliffs. The interesting thing I always thought about this level was that you have to endanger the sheep. Like, you can't just whack bears to get points, you have to actually wait for the sheep to be threatened. So you have to let the lions, or sheep fell off the cliff. You have to let things grab the sheep first of all, and then you have to whack them with your staff. And there are 3 levels of this. We are not going to be doing 3 levels of this, because why on earth would you? I feel like... Oh yeah, timer. It's okay, timer. Nobody cares.
Yeah, it's fine. So one of the things that this is teaching you is from all the way back in the book of like Genesis, really, that you can't really have a hero or a good force without an evil force first existing. You have to endanger your sheep, endanger your flock before you can save your flock and be seen as a savior in their eyes, or at least that's the twisted interpretation that I take of it.
You are really good at this. I'm so glad I have you on the couch. Okay, we've done round 1 of this. There are 2 more rounds of it, but that's entirely pointless. It's the same stuff. So we're going to quit out of that, and we're going to start level 2 instead.
And this goes all the way back to the book of Genesis, where God just stopped after 6 days and left things undone and let mankind take it over and just said, here you go, Adam, just do everything else. Am I still doing good?
Oh, you are doing absolutely fine. This is fantastic. This is the perfect interpretation of the Bible as far as I'm concerned. So okay, stage 2, the champion. This is the bit that everyone knows about David. David went to bring supplies to his brothers who were fighting in King Saul's army. When he arrived, the armies were preparing for battle. Suddenly, a huge giant named Goliath of Gath appeared, ready to challenge any man in King Saul's forces to fight him in man-to-man combat. Choose a man from among you to come fight me. If he defeats me, then you will win the war. But if I defeat him, then we win and you will become our servants. Ha 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 ha. Even though King Saul promised great wealth and rewards to the man who would fight Goliath, all the men of Israel were afraid. Except for a young shepherd boy named David.
You know, I probably would not put my entire kingdom on the back of one shepherd with a slingshot, but that's just me.
I will fight Goliath. He may be a great warrior, but the God who helped me defeat lions and bears will help me defeat Goliath and save our nation. And so David responded to the challenge to defend King Saul's army against the great champion Goliath of Gath, using only his trusty sling, his courage, and his faith in God. Okay, this is a level that, again, vaguely resembles a video game. We have the ability to get stones, sling stones, and pray. And praying is the most important thing we can possibly do. So let's get some stones, and then it turns out that if you pray, angels appear, shooting lightning bolts, which protect you from spears.
I don't recall that part of the Bible.
We need to go back and get some more stones. We need to properly headshot Goliath. No, I don't remember.
At least that part's accurate.
There is a point where he does gradually approach, and he is at some point going to get really, really annoyed and just... No, we got hit by a spear, so we get carted off by the Israeli paramedics, I guess, and... No, we got hit again. David has lost all heart. Press any key to start over. So okay, we'll just start the level again. That's not a problem. Oh no, wait, this game is really badly programmed. If you fail or die at any point, then you actually have to quit out of the game again and restart the program in order to go back to the level you were on. So
what book of the Bible is Majima from?
Revelations at a guess.
He is the seventh seal, apparently.
This level is deceptively difficult, because there is lag between the time that you press pray and the angels actually appearing to protect you. Or whatever they are. I'm not sure. Maybe they are manifestations of... No, we've lost all heart. We've died again. We'll give that one more attempt and then we'll move on to the next level if need be. The only other thing of note in this level is the fact that not only do you have to kill Goliath, the stage does not end upon defeating Goliath. So if you have a look at the instructions on the screen that you'll see in a moment... Defeat Goliath and the Vulture by slinging stones. So, you know, you can take down Goliath, but you've got to take down the Vulture as well.
Totally accurate, and the Vulture is totally deserving of being taken down as part of your holy war against... I don't even know.
And God did say that the Vulture is an Oh, there we go. We got Goliath. We got a nice screen shake. Now we just need to hunt down this Vulture. Because God hates vultures.
It is worthy of note that, yes, only a headshot will take Goliath down, as is what you would expect from the source material.
Yes, we got the Vulture, and it exploded into feathers. So David goes to go and see King Saul. Young David, you are the hero of all Israel. I honor you and appoint you to be commander of my army, despite the fact that you're a shepherd with a sling. Come, and I will give you great riches for your valor and strength. But first, O king, let us give thanks to our mighty God, for it was he who strengthened my arm and delivered our enemy into our hands. So heartwarming. And now, as is tradition in Bible games, we wind up with a quiz to get bonus points, and we can... Yeah, Goliath's attitude was definitely humility. Or alternatively, we can just hit the spacebar a lot and skip the entire thing. So let's do that. Which brings us to stage 3 of 6, the musician. And if you thought this game started getting a little bit weird in the last level with the vulture killing, you have seen nothing yet. David became both a great military leader and chief musician in the service of King Saul, and whatever he did wisely and was blessed by God.
I'm hoping this is a rhythm game.
But as David's fame grew, King Saul became insanely jealous and began to plot to kill David. So David used his skill as a musician to soothe King Saul's troubled mind. I wish I could remember where these cutscenes ended so that I could actually skip bits of the narration. Okay, we need to play all 4 instruments to access the bedroom. We then need to get the hidden decoy, place the decoy on the bed, and escape out of the bedroom window. All this time, King Saul will be attempting to murder us. David was an expert musician, as you will doubtless see here, so we start off by playing the drums here in front of... Oh, he's getting angry. Is there anything there? No, nothing there. Ah, and he threw his spear at us and murdered us.
I'm pretty sure none of these instruments existed in the time of David, but whatever.
He didn't rock out with an electric guitar. This seems unlikely.
I mean, Rock Band Ancient Edition I wouldn't complain about this, but I'm pretty sure an electric guitar did not exist 2,000 years before electricity. No.
Guards, my enemy David is escaping. Okay, so this point took me forever to work out. You have to stand next to the door and walk out while basically mashing the use button. We're not going to get it this time, apparently. We're going to die and... You know, because this is a well-programmed game, restart everything again. So enjoy Majima. This level is incredibly RNG heavy for 2 reasons. The first is that you really don't want the instruments to spawn next to Saul, because it's random which windows they appear in. I have no idea why there are instruments hidden in the windows. Because if they're next to Saul, then it gives you less time to get away from him and his amazing spear-throwing abilities. The second part of RNG is actually at the very end of the level, and as I say, figuring out even what to do on this level once you play the instruments is a nightmare in and of itself. So we go through this door as soon as it opens, there we go, and then the princess randomly appears with a decoy which we can place in the bed. This will dumbfound the guards when they come in, and now we need to once again move very carefully and climb out the window and hope that the RNG guards don't drop a rock on us and headshot us, which is exactly what happened. As far as I can tell, there is absolutely nothing you can do about that, and it is completely random whether or not the guards will appear before you reach the bottom or not. So, great.
That's just the most screwed up way to die, to just have a guard throw a rock at you and bean you in the dome piece and you fall to your death.
The annoying thing is when that happens when you're like 2 feet from the ground. Oh god, the Angry King's approaching. Quick, play the drums, that way the door will magically open. Okay, let's try this again. We can do this, I'm sure. I've got faith. Which is what you need in a Bible game. If David will ever pick up the rope. If you can hear furious keyboard mashing at any point, that's because this game's controls are hilariously unresponsive.
So I'm just going to assume that the magic invincibility you get from prayer is limited to when you're fighting Goliath and not when someone is trying to run you through with a spear.
Exactly. It does not protect you from rocks to the head either, unfortunately.
It's a very specific type of prayer invincibility, and while we're at it, if Saul can throw a spear and being a small shepherd boy from 70 yards away, why didn't he fight Goliath?
You ask very good questions, and don't worry, you are not only going to get no answers whatsoever, but things are going to get much more confusing. Come on, no guards, no guards, no guards. Ah, nice try. So David escaped from the palace of King Saul and found refuge with the prophet Samuel in Ramah.
I'm starting to get the opinion that Saul is kind of a dick.
It's going to get worse. The Lord continued to protect David from Saul's men because David was faithful to the Lord, at least up until the next level. At which point, I guess, God, the Lord must have been having a nap or dealing with something else. Because we are most definitely not protected from Saul's men at that point. So okay, Bible quiz. We'll skip it. And now we come to The Hunted. Sounds like a battle royale game, let's be honest. Although King Saul's heart continued to burn with jealous anger, David became best friends with Saul's son, Prince Jonathan. David and Prince Jonathan made an oath to each other to be lifelong friends, always protecting and defending each other. When Prince Jonathan learned of King Saul's planned attacks on David's life, he went to warn him of impending danger. "My friend, you must run for your life because my father's jealousy is insane. I fear that we may never see each other again." It was a sad moment for David and Jonathan when they had to say goodbye. So I don't quite know how this ties in with David having already fled from Saul and going to see stay with the prophet Samuel in Ramah, but hey. Say goodbye to Prince Jonathan, collect cloak, priest's bread and Goliath's sword, and cut off the bottom of Saul's robe without disturbing his sleep. But it's okay, we are protected by God. But first things first, we need to say goodbye to Jonathan. And how do you do this? Why, obviously, you crouch down in front of him 3 times. There we go. And now, David goes to the poorly named town of Nob to find food and weapons. So the first thing we need to do is open up this door here to get the cloak. The cloak makes us immune to the incredibly stupid guards. We get the bread from the priest, and we really, really hope that there aren't guards right next to the screen. There we go. We just put on the cloak for a moment, and then it falls off, and that's absolutely fine. If we have the cloak on, the guards, they kind of just completely lose track of us. So we slowly edge our way forward, and because collision detection in this game is awful, we wait for a brief moment before entering any new screen. And now, once again, we are at the mercy of RNG. You can't put on your magic cloak of invisibility when you are in the cave, and getting into the cave is the exact next thing we have to do before Saul murders our face-off again. So, there we go. RNG timing for the guards was good, so we hide behind this rock in the cave. And yes, if you are hearing loud meowing, I do apologise for that.
I just assumed that was you.
Okay, Saul basically comes in and goes, "Holy shit, this is a really nice cave. I'm going to have a nap in here." And we come in and cut off the bottom of his cloak, head outside. David says, "My lord, King Saul, why do you think I'm trying to hurt you? The Lord gave you into my hand in the cave. Even though I could have killed you, I've spared your life, for I intend no harm to the Lord's anointed king. See the bottom of your robe in my hand. I didn't harm you, but I only cut off the bottom of your robe so that you would know I mean you no harm."
That's exactly what they want you to think.
"David, you are more worthy to be king than I am. You have shown mercy when you could have taken my life. I will spare your life as you have spared mine, for surely you will be the next king." And a happy ending. And they lived happily ever after. Saul and David were best buds again. And we come to the level, The Daring.
So that last level, I seem to recall a blind player getting stuck there because you have to bow in front of your friend 3 times, and nowhere does it tell you have to do this. Is it as dumb as that seemed to make it look?
King Saul, directly after this, takes an army of 3,000 men to hunt David. But yes, that is... Figuring out what the hell you're meant to do in this game is possibly the worst thing about it. Like bowing in front of him 3 times, figuring out that to get the decoy to appear and be able to climb out the window on the musician level, you need to stand directly in front of the door and press use. Like all of this stuff, it doesn't tell you anywhere. It is just insane, and this is why I have finished this game to the extent that I've gotten as far as I believe it's possible to get, but considering how utterly insane this game is, and the requirements and the finickiness of it, it is quite possible that on the final screen I've seen there is something I am meant to do that I haven't figured out because I wasn't facing the right direction, I didn't push a button that it didn't give me any indication of, and the moon wasn't in the correct phase. I don't know. But in this level, King Saul is trying to kill us again, and we need to get his spear and water jug and escape to the hill without disturbing him or his men. So the first thing we need to do is, we don't have a magic cloak of invisibility this time, but we do have a magic blanket of invisibility. See, the guards, if they see us, we just lie down and pretend we're taking a nap in front of them. And they go from, oh, it's David, kill him, to, you know, just, oh, it's a sleeping guy, let's leave him be. Occasionally, however, the guards can spawn before you even get the chance to pick up the blanket, because really good game design is a hallmark of this. So,
well, I mean, the magic ninja tactic of disguising yourself as a speed bump doesn't work when speed bumps haven't existed for 2,000 years yet.
This is probably the worst level of the game, and that's saying something. So, okay, we can't just walk over. How are we doing on time? Oh, we're okay on time. So you can't just walk over Saul, which you would think is what you have to do, because he wakes up and shouts for the guards, and they immediately come in, and you get a Batman-style bam effect, or an explosion as they hit David with the spear. Because it turns out that David is actually made of rocket fuel. They have to be very, very careful around him with spears and things, or he will actually explode. So we'll crouch down, ready to do our nap pretending. No, we did it too early, you see, because David can only pretend to nap for a very short period of time.
I'm of the opinion that you should have just done it straight over the fire. Would it work then?
Where is the second guard? He's got to be right there, somewhere. Like, he has to be entering the screen shortly, unless we've... Oh, great, there's both of them at the same time. That's going to be really bad. Oh, we managed it. I'm impressed. So, okay, what we need to actually do here is that thing next to the shield or whatever. That's actually a rope that you use to swing over Saul. In true Indiana Jones fashion. Then we hop out of the tent, and strangely enough, those exact same two guards turn out to be on this side of the hill, and while we're here waiting for them to turn around, I want to point out that of the things this game skips over is the fact that, like, the priest who helps you in the level where you have to bow 3 times in front of a man, he was horrifically tortured and murdered by the guards, and we are definitely going to die now. Because again, you are reliant on guard RNG here. You need to make it to the top of the hill, and in true Metal Gear Solid fashion, the guards will chase after you the instant they see you. So you need to basically hope that the RNG has both of the cards pretty close to each other. Because otherwise, you know, you can't really climb the hill in time, especially because the exact spot on the hill you have to reach is unbelievably finicky, as with literally everything else in this game. So let's... Right,
I had heard a natural enemy of the Jewish people was hilltops.
Apparently so. We've got pretty bad RNG with the guards here as well. Because once again, they're kind of spaced pretty far apart, and as soon as they turn around, they are going to see us. They can't see us until we actually move closer to the hill. But once we get near the hill, they're like, no, this is all wrong.
So there's exactly 1 pixel at the top of the hill that Fyzzu needs to make contact with, and it's not entirely obvious which one it is.
No.
So in the people I've seen play this, they get to the top and go, okay, I've made it, now what? And then they die because they didn't find the 1 pixel you have to stand on.
Exactly like that, and because we've got a very bad guard spawn here, we will call that level and we will die. But essentially, you know, the same thing happens again. David basically goes, look, I snuck into your camp, and I took your water jug and your spear, and I could have killed you, but I didn't. And Saul goes, you know what? We are besties again. It's fine.
Can we just stay with Majima and not do the rest of this?
It's okay. We've only got 1 more level to go, and this is the best and most ridiculous level in the game. This is
How
a level.
Can it get worse?
This is a level where the game remembers that it is actually a game, and attempts to inject some gameplay. And it is also the most completely accurate to the Bible, I'm sure, as we will no doubt see. That's called The Mighty Warrior. And if you know what happens in this level, chat, I ask that you do not spoil it, because I want raw reactions. While David was off fighting battles, the evil marauding Amalekites invaded his poorly named hometown of Ziklag. Burning the city to the ground, they kidnapped his wife and children and stole all his possessions. So David inquired of the Lord, "Shall I pursue after these villains and overtake them?" And the Lord answered him, "Pursue, for you shall surely overtake them and recover everything, for they are driving a very slow car." So now David must prove himself as a mighty warrior. He must go into the Amalekite fortress to rescue his family and recover his possessions. And thus we reach the finest level in the game. Find and free David's wife, son, daughter, and camel. Do not forget the camel. Thou shalt not forsake thy camel. And escape from the fortress of Besor. Bezor. So yeah. We have all these guards with spears. And we kind of have a kick and make who noises.
Because martial arts were a very important thing at this time. Who needs a sword when you have a really sick roundhouse kick?
I'm actually kind of impressed. We've gotten here with a lot of lives, which is really useful because we are damn well going to need them. Let's jump up here and hope we don't immediately fall off, because if we do, we are doomed. Simply put, there is not enough room to jump on the moving horse again, so if we fall off here and try to get back on the horse will ram into the wall and David will die, because that's just how these things work. Oh dear. Alright, let's see.
It's like the old adage. If you fall off the horse, you have to reset the game and take a look at Majima doing a weird crotch thrusting dance.
Oh, we did just barely have enough time. But yeah, this is one of the many problems in this, is that enemies are still moving even when they aren't on the screen, which means that you have to kind of guess whether there is an enemy directly across the screen from you. And good luck with that. Oh, there was one. Brilliant.
So the question on my mind is, David is wearing a tunic here and doing these high kicks. You know what? I'm just going to leave that there.
It's probably for the best that you don't expand upon that. But we're going to continue with this level because there is a very special part of this level, which must be seen to be believed. And I've just realised that this is the exact same hooing sound as is in The Godfather, I think. So, those of you who remember The Godfather, the game, get your hooing done in chat, please. I know some of you have that emote.
It would be who of you to get that in while you've got the chance.
Oh, okay. The horse is stuck next to the wall again, so back to Majima for a moment. I'd say this is probably one of the more fun levels of the game, bizarrely enough. Even when you immediately take 2 hits of damage because you stand up immediately after being stabbed.
So are we going to get to the point where we've seen Majima more than we've seen the game?
We can but hope. That way we'll have seen a good game more than we'll have seen this.
We can't have that.
Oh my god.
Oh no.
These guard spawns are ridiculous. This is truly one of the worst designed games of all time. Well, I mean, I should back up when I say that this is one of the more fun levels of the game. It actually has gameplay. Like, you move. There are moving things to interact with. You are not just hiding under a cloak or a blanket and trying to figure out the insane mechanics of the game. Like,
I don't know. I consider hiding under a blanket to be pretty fun.
Apparently we can also just hide behind the horse and the guards can't see us. I'd completely forgotten about that, but there you go. Okay, here we go. I can feel it. It's going to go right this time. We're going to manage to make it across onto this screen without suffering speary death. There, see, I knew it. I felt it. And I wonder what that red line in the top right of the screen could be. I will say this bit is actually more difficult than it looks, because guards will spawn from both sides, and with David's kind of moving in stock increments, you have to make sure that they're not going to reach you at the same time. Should be okay, I think. So
why did you kick the guy who was just cooking his dinner on the wall again?
Because he was present. So okay, we've gotten rid of the guards. That's great. Okay, David, it was easy to beat those guards, but how well will you do against our champion, Kareem?
That's not an Amalekite name.
And we have Kareem Abdul-Jabbar up here, and it turns out that the thing in the top right was actually a basketball net, and we had to dunk on Kareem because he was apparently working with the Amalekites. And this is...
this is a callback to the book of 2 Samuel where David, I got nothing.
Yeah, no. I don't remember that from the Bible. I don't recall Kareem Abdul-Jabbar being a biblical figure. But there you go. It turns out that David is invincible while doing his roundhouse kick, which is very useful because we've got archers shooting flaming arrows at us, and we are going to take damage dropping down here once we actually find the correct pixel that lets us drop down. Because there are so many guards down here, we have no choice but to take damage, basically. I'm also mashing multiple keys on the keyboard because there is every chance that... there we go. We found the correct pixel and immediately got stabbed by a guard. So we're just going to take a nap here on the ground for a moment while the guards pass us by. And then we're going to start kicking people again.
So when did it turn into a ninja anyway?
I don't know. Well, we're going to run over here and kick the last guard. And now we need to free everyone. So we've taken Goliath's sword from the thing over there, and we can use that to rescue our wife. I can't remember what button we actually have to push to rescue her. Oh, there we go. We had to cut her bonds. Okay, and now we need to free the kids, which David does by just, bending that, and then he picks them up and just kind of carry them over onto the camel.
Don't forget the camel.
I'm trying not to forget the other kid, but it's not letting me pick them up.
Who cares about the kid? Don't forget the camel.
There we go. That's the second kid on the camel, and can we carry our wife to the camel? We can't kick her. We've learned that. But yeah, as far as I can tell, this is about as far as it's possible to get in this game. I have tried basically standing on every square of this and pressing every button. So this is the end of Defender of the Faith, I guess. Possibly the most accurate biblical game ever made, which features David murdering a vulture, smacking bears on the head with staves, playing instruments while the spear-wielding lunatic chases after him. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar in possibly the oddest biblical cameo I've ever seen, and
still canon.
Some really funky music. So thank you all very much for watching. This was definitely a video game that someone designed and I don't think ever finished. So thanks again, and thank you, Tristan, for joining me on this truly amazing adventure.
I'm going to hell for this.
You're a witch. You're going to hell anyway. And with that, I will pass it back to our host. Thank you very much, everybody.